All right. What is going on, everybody? Good evening. Good evening. Haven't done evening show here in a second. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Second show of the day. We got to get back on. This is the time of the year when you got to work some double headers. You got to do that in the middle of free agency. So obviously, free agency started today. A lot going on. I'm sure there's a ton of Laker fans out there saying, "What the f is going on here?" But we got a lot to get into. I do have some. I do have some topics right here that we're going to hit on. So I'm going to spend some time doing it. Let's do a show tonight, and then obviously tomorrow morning, I'm sure there's going to be a whole new cycle of news that we can get into. So I'm looking forward to doing the show tonight. Thank you for hanging out. Appreciate you guys being here. If you guys don't mind subscribing to the channel, would greatly appreciate that. That would be phenomenal. Okay. We got a lot of layers here. Now, believe it or not, I actually think. Let me see how I'm going to sell this thing. I'm trying to see how I'm going to sell this. I don't think the world's going to end with what's happened so far. Now, granted, there's going to be probably a lot of Laker fans out there that are literally going to be wildly frustrated of the situation with the Lakers. The first day of free agency, a lot of names that were associated with the Lakers are already gone. So I get a lot of the frustration that's already there. But I am going to ask Laker fans to pump the brakes for a second. And I'll get into why some of those reasons are. So give me a second here to get there. Okay. I'm over here and I'm trying to get you to over here. And how I get there is going to take, it's going to take a lot of movement here. First off, let me just do this, kind of give everyone a quick idea as far as some of the topics. We'll hit on Dorian Finney-Smith deciding to go play basketball for the Houston Rockets. How stacked are the Houston Rockets? So we'll spend some time specifically on that. I got to be honest with you guys, walking into free agency, that is not something that I thought was going to happen. I thought DFS was going to be a Los Angeles Laker. We'll talk about Dorian Finney-Smith. Jake LaRavia joining the Los Angeles Lakers. I think there's a lot of people learning a lot more about Jake LaRavia the moment he signed with the Lakers. We'll spend some time on that player and if there's going to be, what can we kind of expect from him? And to be honest with you, I don't think anybody knows until we get to obviously the point where he is a Laker and he's playing games and he's proven to everybody that he can be a contributor. Many players off the board. There were a lot of players that were associated with the Lakers, and a lot of them are gone. And I'm going to go through each one of these players that are gone that you did say for a second there, hey, can that player potentially be a Los Angeles Laker? Nope, he's with another squad. Hey, maybe this guy could be a Laker. No, he went to whatever team it was. We'll go through the list, and there's a shit ton of players that had some type of association with the Lakers that were like, cool, I'm going somewhere else. We'll talk Deandre Ayton and how critical he has become now for the Los Angeles Lakers. Like, they don't really got a choice here. They got to figure out a way to get DeAndre. And I spent a little time talking to Eric Pincus before I started the show. I had some questions for him, so he helped kind of clear out a couple of things, especially with the LaRavia contract. Okay, how much money is left? I saw a tweet from Bobby Marks. All this stuff. There's obviously a lot of moving parts. And the last thing I'll get into, there's a little bit more chatter on LeBron. We'll spend some time on as well. Thank you for being to the show. Please subscribe. Let's get started here. Dorian Finney-Smith leaves the Rockets. He goes to the Houston Rockets. DFS. Free agent. Dorian Finney-Smith has agreed to a 4-year, $53 million deal with the Houston Rockets. Sources tell ESPN. Finney-Smith's agent, Michael Tellum of XL Sports, negotiate terms of the deal tonight with Rockets executives for the 3-and-D wing. One more thing Shams put out there that I'll read here. Major acquisition to bolster Houston's wing depth with Finney-Smith. Shot a career high 41% from three. Held all-star players to 47% effective shooting in backcourt, which ranked top 10 among players to defend 125-plus shots this season. He signs. He's obviously a part of the Houston Rockets. My initial thoughts on it. I'm surprised by it. I really am. I thought DFS was almost like a shoo-in. I thought, well, yeah, DFS is coming to the Lakers. Lakers traded for him. I'm sure there was probably some kind of conversation within his agent and everything else. Hey, we're going to trade for you. You're on an expiring contract. Interest of playing for the Lakers moving forward. And then you just kind of thought once Luka Doncic got to the Lakers, Dorian Finney-Smith's about to be a Laker for a little bit, and these two can play together for a number of years. Okay. Leaves the Lakers, goes to Houston. Doesn't even leave the Lakers and go to another. No, he goes to the Houston Rockets, number 2 team in the West. They pick up Kevin Durant. I think, they lose Dylan Brooks, but then they end up getting Dorian Finney-Smith, for the short term. I think that's a good idea. They're in a phenomenal position. Is anybody upset that the Lakers didn't give him 4 years? I think if I really look at DFS, and I'm going to throw myself under the bus. I'm okay with doing that. I was a big fan of DFS. A lot of people know that. I was ready to take D'Angelo Russell from the airport directly to Brooklyn when he got traded. I was ready to pay for the flight, but it was going to be commercial. You know what I mean? We were going to go like Delta, maybe economy plus. That's the best that I was going to be able to do. I was not a fan of D'Angelo Russell. I was a fan of DFS. I thought that's the kind of player you want in the playoffs. I thought, that's a player that it's a championship role player. You need championship role players if you obviously want to compete for a championship. And frankly, he's going to go compete for a championship with the Houston Rockets. So maybe I was still right. Maybe it just didn't happen with the Lakers. I thought he was okay with the Lakers. I didn't think he was anything special. I thought in the playoffs, I had people saying, Al, you said DFS was going to be a good player and contribute. You're right. I was wrong. I thought DFS was going to be a better player for the Lakers. What it feels like what held up the Lakers and Dorian Finney-Smith, I didn't even want to give him 4 years. And frankly, I got to be honest with you, I wouldn't want to give DFS 4 years. So I'm upset that Dorian Finney-Smith didn't sign with the Lakers. I'm not upset that the Lakers didn't hand him 4 years. He's 32 years old right now. Let me see when his birthday is. I'm just curious. I'm curious to see if he'll be 32, just turned 32. Okay, so through his contract, he'll be 36 years old, which isn't, I'm not telling you it's the worst contract in the world. I'm just saying that I don't know if I want DFS for 4. Actually, I know I don't want DFS for 4 years. If that's the price of doing business, he made a business decision and said, I don't know how many years you guys want to give me, but I'm going to go get the 4 years in Houston, and that's what he did. The $53 million is, I don't think it's anything crazy. That's kind of just the price of doing business in today's NBA, and each year that goes by, that $53 million will just look less and less just based off of what the numbers are in the NBA and how the salary cap keeps going up and everything else. So my initial thoughts on Dorian Finney-Smith, I think that's a hit that hurts the Lakers. I thought DFS was going to be a Laker, but the one thing that I can give the Lakers a little bit of protection on is I understand not giving the man 4 years. Okay, that's the Dorian Finney-Smith part, and DFS doesn't just go anywhere. He stays in the West and is going to go help the Houston Rockets. And if you guys go look, there's some different tweets that are being sent out, and some of the different tweets that are being sent out that are showing what the roster for the Houston Rockets looks like. They go deep. They go about 10 deep. I saw some people in the chat before I got started talking about the Houston Rockets, and basically you got a lot of people kind of saying the same thing. It's like the Houston Rockets are going to be a team. They're going to be a squad, and they obviously got so many. They got so much depth. All right. Here's the one thing that I will mention in talking with Eric Pincus, and this is something to keep an eye out for. Apparently, when the Rockets signed, they haven't signed anybody. You can't sign for another days. I think it's June 6th when you could start signing. But they're coming to an agreement. When they came to the agreement with Clint Capella, I'll go back to Clint Capella when I'm going to all the players that are associated with the Lakers that ended up somewhere else. But when they were talking about Clint Capella, I saw some tweets out there that all of a sudden were coming out and they're saying they don't even have a roster spot for him. What are they going to do? This and that. I will say one thing Pink has told me is that there still is potentially an opportunity to do a sign and trade with Dorian Finney-Smith, potentially. So just keep that in mind. What the fact that we know DFS is going to the Houston Rockets, there's a little bit of, well, do they have a roster spot available for Clint Capella when they brought Clint Capella back to the Houston Rockets? So there's going to be possibly some chatter here over the next couple of days to see if potentially that sign and trade, if they can work some kind of a deal that will potentially help the Lakers. I do know this. Clint Capella is going to return to Houston by way of a sign and trade. The Rockets are sending a 2031 second-round pick swap plus cash to the Hawks in exchange for helping facilitate the Veteran Center's second stop in Houston. So I'm not going to sit here, and I'm not the person for it. We'll see if there is any more details on the Dorian Finney-Smith deal. The one thing I can tell you is DFS thought it was kind of a lock, like he's coming back to the Lakers, made his way to the Houston Rockets. That's obviously a hit for the Lakers. I don't care about the 4-year portion of it. That's, just my opinion on it. All right, let's keep going here. We got obviously a lot of players to hit on. So one player goes out, one player comes in. Who's the player that comes in? Jake LaRavia. All right, people are going to say, hey, Al, let's get a little bit of information on Jake LaRavia. I'm going to tie this to, there's a little bit of tie to what potential cap space is left for the Lakers, and we can go from there. Young player, 23, maybe 24 years old at this point. Let's just see his exact age. He'll be 24 by the time next year starts. Actually interesting, from Pasadena, California. All right. Spent a lot of time in Pasadena. 24 years old by the time next season starts. A lot cheaper of an option for the Lakers. It's a 2-year deal. It's $12 million. Certainly from a dollars and cents perspective, you're giving a lot less money and a lot less years than you would have had to give to Dorian Finney-Smith. So maybe the Lakers are just taking the cheaper option in this regard. Size-wise, 6'8", 235. Great size. That's phenomenal size in the NBA. What has he done so far in the NBA? Remember, super young, 24 years old by the time next season starts. Where's he been? Played most of his time in Memphis, had some time last year in Sacramento. In the, I think he only played under 20 games, I want to say, in Sacramento. Got traded from Memphis. 6 points and 3 rebounds a game. Nothing really jumps out of like, oh my God, this guy's going to be a guaranteed this, guaranteed that. 19 minutes a game. So it's not like he's playing a ton of minutes. Probably will get more opportunity with the Lakers. But here's the reality. There's just no way of understanding what to expect. Anybody can spin this and say, I saw some tweets out there like, hey, this was the Lakers' target. All right, maybe it was. I don't think it was. We'll see what eventually happens, and we'll see if this player is a good player or not. He's going to come on a Lakers roster and a Lakers team. They need a wing. He's going to get opportunities and he's going to get minutes. And he's going to do one of two things. Either prove once he gets on the Lakers that this was a smart, effective, efficient pricing player that the Lakers went out and got to cover part of their wing. We'll see who else they end up getting. Maybe they go out and make a trade or whatever the case is. But if anybody thinks they know what they're getting with this guy, and it could be like, oh my gosh, this guy is the steal of free agency, I don't think anybody's going to see that. I also don't think he's trash. I think we're going to have to wait and see how he plays on a team that does have Luka Doncic and LeBron James and Austin Reeves. They're still figuring out who's going to be their center. They got a coach that's inexperienced that needs time to kind of figure out the NBA. They got an imperfect roster. They got a shit ton of pressure because they're the Lakers and the spotlight is always on them. What is he going to do under those circumstances and situations? There's no way of predicting it. I know that the fact that he's a wing player, the fact that he's 6'8", 235, good size in the NBA, some of the strengths that he have, just looking from a shooting perspective, I think over his career from the three-point line, he's about 37% from the three-point line. His ability to kind of try to figure out how to fit in with the Lakers, all that's going to be determined when the season starts, and we're going to find out whether this was a good signing or it wasn't. It's very low risk, and it's a cheaper, younger version than Dorian Finney-Smith. Now, I will tell you this is what a lot of people have been saying, and I think it's fair, and I think it's right. A lot of people when they talk about the Lakers, they always say that they're too old. A lot of people talk about how they don't have enough young players. They talk about how the Lakers are literally living in the past and they need to catch up with everybody else. All right, well, let me, if you want me to spin this one way, you could have got a 32-year-old that's going to be on your roster from age 32 to 36 and have 4 years committed to him, or you could have went with a 24-year-old who's got some upside for a lot cheaper. I'm not telling you it's the right decision. What I'm telling you is if a lot of people have spent time talking about the Lakers are too slow and they're too old, this is a younger path to take for the Lakers, and we'll just have to all kind of sit back and wait to see if it pans out or not. Very, very low risk. it's a chance for him as well to kind of showcase what he can bring to the table. And we'll find out if this is a player that obviously makes sense for the Lakers. So DFS gone, Jake LaRavia in for the Lakers. And before I start getting into all the other factors that come with some of the players that are gone and what are some of the players that have left the Lakers and talk centers and Deandre and everything else, I just want to kind of share everything in regards to that. I have one more thing on Jake LaRavia, which I think is important. I've never said Jake LaRavia so many times in my life, and I'll go ahead and say it one more time, Jake LaRavia. Okay, so I saw a tweet from Bobby Marks, and then I tried getting some clarity from Eric Pincus. Pincus is the best, by the way. This guy knows every freaking detail of the collective bargaining agreement. And half the time he's talking, I think it's a different language. I'm like, Eric, can you repeat that again? He's like, sure. And then he'll repeat it again like the nice guy that he is. And then when he's done with it, I'll be like, Eric, can you do me a favor? Can you go ahead and just repeat that one more time? It takes 6 times for me to process some of this stuff. Here's what he said in regards to what I was trying to get from him was, okay, they signed Jake LaRavia. I saw a tweet from Bobby Marks. It's coming from the mid-level exception. And basically what I was trying to ask is, how much money do they have left for Ayton? Let's go. Let's actually jump to. Do we jump to Ayton right now? Yeah, we'll start talking Ayton. I'll start looking at the comments in just a second. The question that I had is, how much cash is left for Ayton? Because I know that his buyout with the Portland Trailblazers, he was due to make 35, maybe 35 and change. He left about 10 mil on the table in his buyout to go test the rest of the market, right? So what he was telling me is they got about 8 million left if they're able to go out and get DeAndre Ayton. Okay, so he left 10 million on the board. Does DeAndre Ayton look at the Lakers and say to himself, all right, I leave the Portland Trailblazers. I'm going to be on a contract that is, I'm going to be on the final year of my contract. Do I want to stay with the Portland Trailblazers, get paid my $35 million, and then really probably, I don't know what market he would have as an unrestricted free agent if he stayed with the Portland Trailblazers, or do I want to go through the buyout process, take $10 less million and see what I can now go get as a free agent? Lakers can pay him $8 million. So that, let's call that a net loss of $2 million if I'm just making this simple. Cool. Let's play that out here real quick. What DeAndre Ayton has to weigh, and I really actually feel like a lot of this probably is already in play. You got big names that are associating DeAndre Ayton to the Los Angeles Lakers. I don't think all this just kind of comes out without some type of understanding. But here's how Ayton can look at this. DeAndre Ayton could say, all right, let's say I hypothetically go to the Lakers. What team needs a center more than the Los Angeles Lakers? There's nobody in the league that needs a big like the Lakers do. They are desperate for a big. And obviously, if DeAndre Ayton is that player, he walks onto a team that will get by far the most exposure this upcoming season because it's the Lakers and Luka's there and LeBron's there. It's the Lakers, number one. Add Luka and add LeBron and takes it to another level. He's going to a team that's desperate for a center, potentially. And he's got one of the best point guards in the NBA that can just feed him everything off a silver platter. That's what DeAndre Ayton would have if he's with the Los Angeles Lakers. Okay, with all that said, he's going to get the exposure. He's going to get an opportunity, let's say, for a playoff run. And if he's on the Lakers and it's Luka feeding him the ball, his numbers are probably going to be inflated. And it's also a contract year for DeAndre Ayton. The dude's trying to make a long-term investment and get paid not just for this year, but he's trying to grab himself another 3-4 year deal in the NBA. How old is DeAndre Ayton? He's 26 years old. Okay, so Jake LaRavia is going to be 24 years old. DeAndre Ayton is 26 years old. Hypothetically, if that's how the dust settles and DeAndre Ayton becomes a Los Angeles Laker, then basically what you're saying to yourself is you got younger. The team is a little bit more from an age perspective, more inexperienced, but from an age perspective, it looks a little bit better when you start looking at some of these other teams. I'm not telling you it's going to work. I'm not telling you that the Lakers are set if they get DeAndre Ayton. But what I'm telling you is that's the right risk for the Lakers. So I got a lot of people who are, I haven't even read one comment. Sorry, I'm just flowing right now. I got to keep going. I got a lot of people that are really upset. And let me kind of go through the list here. I got people that are saying, okay, look at all the players that are gone that were associated with the Lakers. Let me just remind everybody that every player, and I'll go through them, you cannot tell me you were comfortable with these players as starters for the Lakers, okay? Brook Lopez signed 2 years, $18 million with the Clippers. I'd have taken Brook Lopez off the bench. That's what he's going to do, by the way, for the Clippers. He's going to be coming off the bench. Clint Capella. I'd have took Clint Capella. Cool. Awesome. Off the bench. Got 3 years, $21.5 million to the Houston Rockets. So obviously he's going to go to the Rockets. Luke Cornett, I actually liked. Got 4 years, $41 million to go to the San Antonio Spurs. I liked Cornett. I started. I was listening to a podcast yesterday. It was Bobby Marks. By the way, Bobby Marks, trying to confirm him, but I think there's a good chance we're going to get him on the show on Wednesday. So looking forward to that if we can make that happen. He had said in one of his podcasts, he threw out Brook Lopez, Clint Capella, Luke Cornett. He just kind of said, keep an eye out, look there. Okay, Kevon Looney, I kind of seen that's another name that was associated with Lakers from a big perspective. 2 years, $16 million to the Pelicans. All these guys that I just mentioned, maybe other than Luke Cornett, which even that I would make the case that maybe Luke Cornett is the exception. None of these guys you were going to be asking to give you 25 to 30 minutes a game. You just weren't. At this stage of their career, that they shouldn't be giving you 25 to 30 minutes. So I think you guys have heard me say this before. I thought the Mark Williams trade that the Lakers were trying to make, I liked that concept. Got a 24, 25-year-old. You got somebody that can roll to the rim. You got somebody that would work wildly better with Luka Doncic than what the Lakers obviously had. They really had no center. They had no big, nothing like that. Now, here's the big DeAndre Ayton question. There's two questions about DeAndre Ayton. Number one, did the Lakers basically say, not interested in Brook Lopez, not interested in Clint Capella, not interested in Kevon Looney, not interested? I think there's a little bit of an association. I saw this too, and I'll get into this in a little bit. Potentially some opportunities for Al Horford. Okay, by the way, if Al Horford came to the Lakers, I'm okay with it off the bench. Here are the two things left with DeAndre Ayton. Number one, will the Lakers be able to get him? Will the Lakers, is the reason why all these other bigs said, okay, we're going somewhere else, is it because the Lakers and DeAndre Ayton already feel like, all right, we're going to go, when the Lakers are able to, whenever that is, they're going to make an announcement. DeAndre Ayton is signing with the Los Angeles Lakers. And if that happens, then you're like, okay, you know what? Then I get why the Brook Lopez, the Clint Capella, and some of these other players who you didn't want starting for your team, you wanted them to come off the bench for you. All right, take your chances with DeAndre Ayton. Cool. Take your chances. Here's now, if you want me to talk about DeAndre Ayton, the actual player, every time I start looking, online, and I'm hearing other people talk about DeAndre, and they're like, yeah, I don't know how much he loves the game. Yeah, I'm not sure if, this guy, if he cares about basketball more than whatever it is, right? Okay, that's concerning, right? And what he played last year, I think he played 40 games last year, something along those lines. DeAndre Ayton was the number one freaking pick the year Luka got drafted. With Trae Young and some of those other guys that were in that draft class. DeAndre Ayton, by the way, also had a finals run, obviously, with the Phoenix Suns, and then really just you haven't heard much from him since he went to Portland. Can a team like the Lakers with Luka and LeBron and the fact that he's in a contract year, can that be enough to turn DeAndre Ayton to his full potential? It's yet to be seen. We'll find out. There's also talk about DeAndre Ayton really probably only wanting to sign a 1-year deal so that he can prove, if he gets that opportunity with the Lakers, let me prove to the league out there, no, I am worth a 3 or 4 year deal moving forward, which, by the way, I think is a perfect scenario for the Lakers. Cool. Have DeAndre Ayton come in. a 26-year-old, see what he can do. There's very low risk. He's a lot younger than some of these other players that we're talking about. A player like Luka can, I mean, just inflate DeAndre Ayton's numbers just because he's Luka Doncic and he can make you and I look good on a court. But with all that in mind, those are the questions that are still remaining. And we're going to sit here and we're going to wait and find out if Ayton's the guy. If Ayton's not the guy, and we spent all this time, me on here, sitting here and telling you that, let me see here. Let me refresh Shams, because apparently if you don't do that, you could be absolutely screwed. Let me see here. Let me see here. Yeah, I think we're good. I don't think anything new has come out. But if they're not able to get Ayton, yeah, I don't know what to tell you guys. I don't know what to tell. Then you guys can, sit back and tell me. You guys can kind of help me figure out how the Lakers are going to have any size and where they're going to get some help from. They don't have a choice. Like they now DeAndre Ayton's got to be the guy. And let me read off one comment here, and I think this is important. Lakers, do something, man. Tehran, if hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. Do something. Obviously, people are sitting back and they're saying to themselves, all these other people are signing, all these other teams are signing people, and the Lakers haven't done anything. I'm okay if the Lakers don't do anything in the first 24 hours, as long as what they do makes sense when the dust settles. So I'm not as much of they didn't make a move, they're completely screwed because they didn't make a move in the first 12 hours or 24 hours. But if DeAndre Ayton signed with the Milwaukee Bucks because they have the full mid-level exception, by the way, I don't know if that's true, but let's just say hypothetically, they lose Brook Lopez, he goes to the Clippers, and then they go all in and they offer $3-4 more million for DeAndre Ayton. Now you got some issues. Now we could all kind of sit there and kind of ask ourselves, I don't know what the franchise is doing. I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt, and I'm gonna. And if I got to eat my own words, that's okay. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to assume that there's something cooking with DeAndre Ayton, or they got something else cooking somewhere else, because the way they flamed out in the playoffs without having a big was just so obvious that you got to do everything in your power to fill in that void. There's obviously big decisions to be made between now and August 2nd. You got the LeBron situation. I have a very difficult time thinking in my head that they don't have a plan. If they don't have a plan, then that's a completely different conversation. We'll have to wait and see, and that's kind of a separate conversation. Let's see what we got here. They let DFS walk to sign a center. Simple. Lakers will be fine. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. The guys, free agency has been going on for 6 hours, not even 6 hours. So I just think that you don't have to be the first to react. You just got to make the right moves. And again, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt that they're going to figure this out. And if I'm wrong, then like I said, then I'll be the first one to raise my hand and say, Sliwa, you're an idiot. Okay? We'll all say it together. Sliwa, you're an idiot. Okay, players associated with the Lakers, like I mentioned, that went somewhere else. Brook Lopez goes to the Clippers. Clint Capella goes to the Rockets. Nikhil Walker-Alexander, remember for a brief second when we were talking about him, he gets paid 4 years, $62 million with Atlanta. Interesting to kind of see some of these different teams out there. I mean, let me kind of Atlanta's been making moves. The Houston Rockets have been making moves. Cornette, I mentioned, the 4 years, $41 million with the Spurs. Kevon Looney, 2 years, $16 million. I'm not going to go through everybody that signed because, obviously it's a long list, a long laundry list. But those were some of the players that were associated with the Lakers that signed somewhere else. Horford. Let's talk Al Horford real quick. Knicks, Nuggets, and Lakers among candidates to sign Al Horford away from Boston. So that's a tweet that came from Michael Scotto. Al Horford has received interest from several contending teams. By the way, I heard the Golden State Warriors earlier as well. Actually, this one actually came a few hours ago. I've heard the Warriors name associated with it as well. Kevon Looney leaves, so is that their next target? Where Al Horford would be good, honestly, and if the Lakers were to get him, a grown up in the room, a champion. Everyone respected him in Boston. Whether you like the Celtics or you don't, you look at a guy like Al Horford and you're like, hey, you know what? That's a good guy to have on your roster. Do the Lakers, is that the type of guy they want? Cool. Yeah, it's I would tell you if you ended up signing Andre Drummond and then that's your backup center, cool. That's the same way I felt with Clint Capella, Brook Lopez, and all these other guys. As backups, yes, I think there's some value there. But we'll see. I mean, that you're talking 3-4 teams that I just mentioned there. So it's not like this is one or two teams, 3-4 teams that I mentioned there in regards to where he could potentially go. Best players left. I saw this tweet from Keith Smith. Keith Smith came on Friday, does a great job covering the NBA. He does a lot of work with Trevor Lane as well. From a center's perspective, Miles Turner, he ain't coming to the Lakers. Mo Wagner, I saw that out there. I know he's available. Jackson Hayes still on the market. Honestly, the Hayes experiment, JJ wouldn't even use him when the Lakers didn't have a center. What makes you think him coming back, and what makes you think he wants to come back? So I think that's something to keep in mind. And that's kind of where we are with some of the different players that I think have been associated with the Lakers or you've heard their names. That gives you just kind of a quick idea of where we sit here as it's 9:00 and the league is moving, and it seems like everybody's moving but the Lakers. Okay, I'm going to get into one other thing that I want to hit on, and then I'll spend a little bit of time looking at some of your comments, and then we can go from there. Let me read this one real quick. The Nuggets traded MPJ, got a better player, and signed Cam for $17 million less. Signed Bruce on a vet minimum and are still making moves. The Nuggets' new GMs are better than Rob and signing Horford. Okay. I don't know if something came out. If something comes, if anything comes out that's actually breaking and you guys can, help me and let me know just because the show is going on, tell me, and I'll do my best to, obviously break that, not break it, but communicate it with everybody else. Okay. Let me say this here real quick. I got on my notes here. And, I got my notes and getting ready for the show. I got Dorian Finney-Smith. I got players associated with the Lakers. Who did the Lakers get? Jake LaRavia. And I got his stats and everything else. What should we expect in the next couple of days? And I got Ayton and Al Horford and best players left. I'm going down the list. Latest on LeBron, I'm going to get into. You know what? One of my thumbnails here are, not thumbnails, one of my headlines are, best night in the NBA, the Denver Nuggets. I think the Nuggets and the Rockets did work so far in the offseason. Denver, listen, I'm a fan of Michael Porter Jr., and I think MPJ was a big reason why they ended up winning an NBA championship, why they've been competitive for a while. Something was off with them and him. Something wasn't there. And it wasn't the same. And sometimes you're a team or a roster. Okay, maybe MPJ is ready for a different spot and a different place and a different voice. And maybe for Denver, I mean, they obviously fire Michael Malone with 3 games left in the regular season. They go out and get Cam Johnson, who will be wildly better on the defensive side for them and has got a real opportunity. I already saw one of his quotes. He's looking forward to playing for a contender, competing for an NBA championship. You know how many times we said Bruce Brown over the last couple of years of one of the reasons why the Denver Nuggets weren't as good is because they lost some of their depth. They got Bruce Brown back. I know KCP is gone, but they also have some other players that they've kind of cropped within that have become more effective. Denver had themselves a phenomenal Monday, June 30th. The Nuggets did very well. And the Houston Rockets, I don't need to tell anybody, did very well. So now if you're looking, as we kind of sit here right now, the top 3 teams in the Western Conference, if you sit here today and you say, who are the top 3 teams in the Western Conference? And I don't care what order that you put them in. Go ahead and slot them in. Put the Oklahoma City Thunder, put the Houston Rockets, and put the Denver Nuggets. That should be your top 3. And that doesn't mean that the Dallas Mavericks aren't going to be wildly competitive because I think they've had a nice offseason so far, and they'll wait for Kyrie to come back. And they had the addition of Cooper Flagg, and go look at the San Antonio Spurs and the upside that they have, and the Golden State Warriors, how they finished the season. We could talk about other teams. Top 3 teams in the league, Houston, OKC, and the Denver Nuggets. wherever you want to put them and however you want to kind of figure that out, I'll let you guys figure it out. But right when I saw that comment, I'm like, did you look at my notes? I think you looked at my notes. Okay. Nuggets weaknesses, their lack of depth off the bench. Getting back Bruce Brown was big. Yeah, and I think there's a little bit of sometimes you need to just kind of recycle a player, take a player out, bring a player in, and figure out if that's going to make a difference. Cam Johnson's probably sitting there. He's like, man, can I just play on a team and start competing again? Could I remember he was on that Phoenix Suns, the team that got to the NBA Finals. He probably got a chance to feel that and is like, oh my God, I get to go to a team where I could potentially do this again. San Diego Bay, fire Rob Pelinka. I got some of these. There's definitely some people that are angry at there are definitely some people that are angry in regards to Rob Pelinka. San Diego Bay, okay, not bad there. Houston Rockets are a KD injury away from the play-in. Michael, you're not wrong. Actually, no. Let me say this. Every team is an injury away from the play-in, right? I mean, Jamal Murray gets injured for the Denver Nuggets. I'm not even talking Jokic. I'm talking Jamal Murray. Are they still a real threat in the West? Of course they're not. If Jimmy Butler's not healthy for the Warriors, let me just kind of keep going down the list. I'm just trying to think off my top. Jalen Williams is not healthy for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Are they the same team? So I think every team's kind of in that position. I get your point. Your point you're trying to say is it's KD. He's 37 years old. A lot is being made of what the Houston Rockets move have done. But I will also tell you this, something to keep in mind with Houston. It's not like everything's going to be on the shoulders of Kevin Durant. They got a team. They built a team. And they're not going to need him to play 35 minutes a night and play both sides of the ball perfect. No, they got guys where they take a lot of pressure off of him. Okay, let me keep moving here because I want to. There's another thing I want to get into as well. OKC would get by. Maybe OKC would get by. They're freaking stacked, and they're going to be stacked for a long time. All right. So let's let me hit on something real quick because it was really the story for the last 2 days. And this is the latest thing that I saw, and I want to play it here for everybody. Brian Windhorst was one of my favorite in the biz. I mean, really one of my favorite in the business. Let's take a listen to him. He's talking about LeBron and the situation. I got some sound for everybody here that I want to play. So let's fire this up here. Share screen. Okay. Take a listen. We'll first just play it and then we'll react to it. Here's Brian Windhorst on LeBron and the Lakers. Take a listen.
I don't mean this to be controversial. It's just true. This is the beginning of the end with the Lakers for LeBron.
Yeah. I mean, when you're turning 41, that's, absolutely. I think, an acceptable thing to say.
Again, for the first time in his career, he is on the end of a contract, okay? So how is that end going to be? Is it going to be with some sort of really impressive playoff run alongside Luka next spring? Maybe. Is it going to be something that happens during this year? Maybe. That's what essentially I take from this statement. Now, I don't mean this to be controversial.
Okay, that's Windhorst right there. Let me give you guys, and I think you guys already know this. I don't have to explain it to you. Brian Windhorst is not one of those individuals out there that will scream and shout and trying to get attention. Windhorst just does his job, shows up to work every day, and he guaranteed to go. He's going to go 2 for 4 from the plate. Might slap a couple of singles, and occasionally he'll hit one out of the park. It's just that's Brian Windhorst. He's been doing it for years, and the man knows what he's doing. He's had a couple comments that he's just basically, in my mind, he's kind of like, yeah, I didn't read this one. I don't know how to read it. I followed LeBron, his entire career and whatever the case is. And this seems a little bit different. I think, what I take from Brian Windhorst and what I take from some of these people within the industry that I've really just listened to over the last 24 hours trying to explain the LeBron thing. I saw something from Dave McMenamin a little bit earlier too, and it's like I think it was from let me actually kind of find it. I don't need to play it, but I just want to kind of find exactly what it said. But it was Rich Paul basically saying that there is no trade offers, But he also mentioned LeBron James' agent says 4 teams have contacted him in the last 24 hours wanting to talk trades. Can I be honest with everybody real quick on the LeBron situation and the LeBron conversation? I don't understand what the game plan is. I don't understand if LeBron's trying to put pressure on the Lakers. Hey, I want to compete for a championship. Hey, you know what? If it's not here, I'm going to go freaking sign somewhere else. Like, I don't know what LeBron wants the Lakers to do. I think both teams have a similar strategy. Let's try to win an NBA championship. I think what makes it very difficult for the Lakers to try to win a championship is a big part of their cap space is going toward one of the greatest players to ever play the game, but he's 40. So how much can you rely on LeBron this upcoming season? I don't know. Has LeBron been better for a lot longer than I thought? Sure. I thought 3-4 years ago, we were like, yeah, the guy's obviously going to go on this colossal slide because that's what happens to players. He's going to be entering his 23rd year in the NBA. And frankly, the last 5 years with the Lakers, he's still been pretty damn good and helped the Lakers win the championship in 2020. Was the key piece of one of the key pieces, right? Him and Anthony Davis, as good as it gets in winning an NBA championship. What is the goal of Rich Paul and LeBron? I don't know. I don't know what the statement means. I don't know when I'm reading like this. Are they trying to put pressure on an organization? Okay, does LeBron want to get traded? Then if he wants to get traded, then just go tell the front office you want to get traded. I've also seen Bobby Marks talk about it and other people. It's not a good business move for the Cavs should not be picking up the phone and depleting their roster to get LeBron at age 40 and 41 by the time next year starts. I don't know the goal. I don't know the goal from Rich Paul yesterday. I don't know the goal of what LeBron is looking for. There's no more pressure you need to put on the Lakers to figure stuff out to go be a championship contender. You know who already knows that? Pelinka already knows that. Jeannie already knows that. Mark Walter already knows that. Everybody knows the Lakers are trying to compete. They're trying to compete every single year. LeBron is not 32 years old or 35 years old or 38 years old where that holding the Lakers to the fire, it just doesn't have the same gravity. It doesn't have the same strength that it used to have. Why? Because LeBron is 40. That's why. If Luka Doncic, if his agent tomorrow put out the same exact statement that LeBron put out, then El Segundo, that Lakers facility, that's their corporate offices, their headquarters right there, people will be running around everywhere. They wouldn't know what to do. You guys ever watched Michael Scott at The Office where he's like, everybody calm down. It's an effing fire, and he's running all over the place? That's what would happen in El Segundo. When I saw Rich Paul's comments yesterday, and I've kind of let this play out for the last 24 hours, I don't know what LeBron wants the Lakers to do. If he wanted to compete for an NBA championship and that's all he cared about, then he shouldn't have took 52.6. I'm not telling you he ain't worth 52.6. What I'm saying is you can't have your cake and eat it too, if that's the saying. I think I just jacked up the saying. The point that I'm making is it's got to be one or the other. Hey, you know what? All I care about is winning an NBA championship. I'm ripping up my contract. I'm going to sign a new contract with the Lakers. It's for 2 years and whatever that number is, $40 million, $50 million. Lakers, go make some moves. Or it's the other side of it. You know what? I'm probably worth $100 million a year. Give me my 52.6. You guys figure it out, and there's nothing else I can do from here. He's still box office. He's still going to sell out crypto. People are still going to come all over the world to come watch him play, whether you like it or not, whether you're a LeBron fan or not. That's just the truth. And I've been going to Laker games since he became a Los Angeles Laker. I've been covering the team now this is going to be my 9th year this is going to be my 10th year that's coming up covering the Lakers. Everywhere LeBron goes, LeBron is the center. He is the spotlight. For the first time in his career, he's no longer the center. That center is now Luka. Now, when you look at the Lakers, the first thing you say is, what does Luka want? Not what does LeBron want? Even when AD was here, I'm the biggest AD fan. LeBron always ate first. And I don't know if Anthony Davis ever really wanted the true keys to the franchise. Luka's like, give me the damn keys. I'm going to sit here in the front seat. I've been doing this since I was 16 years old. I don't care about pressure. I don't care it's the Lakers brand. I'm Luka Doncic. So it's just different. But for the first time, Bron is not the center and the spotlight. That's why I don't know what the goal was. I don't know what the goal was with that statement, because I do feel like the Lakers, of course, want to compete. And part of the reason why it's more difficult for them to compete is because they got a 40-year-old making 52.6. That's why. That's just kind of the reality of it. Okay, I want to play that Windhorse thing, which I did. Got that off my chest here real quick, and we could keep rolling. Shams, anything going on? Come on, talk to me, Shams. Shams, no. Last deal that he put out was the Gary Trent Jr. deal that Shams put out. Okay, we'll spend a little bit more here, just basically focused on everybody's comments here. We'll spend a little bit of time on that, and then we'll come back and try to figure it out tomorrow morning, coming back at 8 a.m. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of stuff that have gone on between now and 8 a.m. All right, let's see what you guys got here. Ayton is the only option now, AV King. Yeah, listen, I said this from the beginning. If they're not able to make that happen, then, I don't know what they're doing at the center spot. And I let me play out something for you guys real quick. Let's just hypothetically, they signed DeAndre Ayton. Okay. If you're able to sign DeAndre Ayton and you're able to convince a former number one pick, this is the most important year of your professional life. Not personal, your professional life. And basically for DeAndre Ayton, how you do this upcoming year for the Los Angeles Lakers will determine what your future is going to be in the NBA and your finances and your generational wealth and what kind of contract you can get from there. If you're able to get a 26-year-old in DeAndre Ayton and get this man to be somewhat of a beast again, and oh, by the way, you got the best point guard in the NBA, one of the best point guards in the NBA when it comes to setting up centers, and Luka Doncic. If you can convince this guy to be a productive player again in the NBA and help the Los Angeles Lakers, and you don't give up anything for him, you got some chips to play with. You still have Dalton Connect. You still got that first rounder. You're still figuring out, are we keeping Rui Hachimura? Are we putting him in a deal? You're still figuring out Gabe Vincent and Maxi Kleber, who got expiring contracts. You got some things to play with. So I think that, I think there's natural overreaction because, first off, Laker fans overreact like I've never seen it before, but, that just kind of comes with the territory. And I also think there's an overreaction because 6.5 hours went by, 6 hours and 17 minutes went by, and people are hyperventilating and they haven't made a move. Yeah, but Clint Capella's gone. Yeah, but Brook Lopez went to the Clippers. Okay, that's all right. As long as they're able to sign DeAndre Ayton, Ayton understands the Ayton buyout thing just came up in the last, 24 hours? So I think how the Lakers are recalibrating of what the game plan is has something to do with that. And if they're able, when the dust settles, they got DeAndre Ayton, figure out what a backup center is going to be, and I don't know how they're going to do that. And then let's just use hypothetically it's Jackson Hayes. Now you got some pieces to work with. If you can get the center spot figured out with high potential possibilities, and that's what I think DeAndre Ayton is, you're kind of going, I don't even want to call it going all in because it's not like you're giving the guy a 4-year contract or anything like that. And you're not giving him some crazy money. You're taking a very, very small risk with high upside. And if it hits and it works out, then you got your center at least for this year. And now you can start using all those other assets you have if you're Rob Pelinka to go start working on everything else. So, yes, is DeAndre Ayton the only option up to this point? Correct. I think we're getting to that point. But they could easily already have an agreement put together between the two sides, and they're just waiting to when they announce it. And if that doesn't happen, then I'll look like an idiot. All right, let's see what else we got here. All right, let's see what else here. Needs to be someone better than Jackson. Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, right now they don't have a legit starting center. Who the backup center is going to be at this point, I'm going to have to wait and kind of figure it out. Let's get the starting center figured out before we start, stressing over the backup center. I'm a fan of LeBron. Tracy, thank you for the chat here. Fan of LeBron, but why do I feel like there could be some tension between him and the team this season? Okay. You know, if I'm being honest with you, if there's some tension, I'm going to put that on Braun. I'm going to put that on LeBron. You're getting paid as much as you can get paid. The Lakers drafted your son at number 55. The Lakers have pretty much done whatever you've asked them to do. At least it feels like they've done a lot of what they've asked him to do. If there's some tension between Bron and the Los Angeles Lakers this upcoming season, frankly, I don't know what you want me to tell you. That's more on Bron. That's a Bron problem. I think their relationship, the Lakers and LeBron James, it has been it's the power of two enormous brands that merge together, and both have had success. They've had a lot of ups and they've had a lot of downs together, and that kind of came with the territory. And if at this stage of LeBron's career that there's some tension that's being built, maybe whatever that tension is, maybe the tension is, I wanted you guys to go after certain guys and you didn't. Maybe the tension is, who knows? Maybe LeBron wanted another 1+1, and the Lakers are like, look, we're not giving you any more past this year. We'll pay you, we'll compensate you for this year, but we really don't want to look towards, another year on top of that or whatever the case is. I think the Lakers have accommodated more than enough to LeBron James. And if that's not good enough for LeBron, then that's okay. If that's how he's going to feel, and that's, he's got a reason to feel a certain way. If you're the Lakers, you're like, look, we've been in business for a while here. We also got to look at life after LeBron James. So I don't blame the Lakers at all. I think the Lakers have been wildly fair to LeBron. And I think LeBron has made the Lakers a shit ton of money and helped them win an NBA championship. Isn't that a good partnership? I think it is. Appreciate the comment there, buddy. All right, let's keep kind of trying to get through as much of these as we can. Wrong. LeBron wants to win. Okay, which one? Which one's more important? Tell me, which one's more important? Is it more important for LeBron to win, or is it more important for LeBron to be a Los Angeles Laker? Because maybe, just maybe, you can't have both. You guys explain to me, I've said this a number of times and I'll say it again. I don't think there's a path for LeBron and Luka, those wild timetables. There's a 14-year difference between those two, to coexist together, to take up such a large amount of, obviously, the salary, and then compete with some of these young teams like OKC, and go look at what Denver looks like now. Go look at the Houston Rockets. Go look at even Dallas. I mean, hell, as much as people have talked about Nico Harrison and as much, crap that he's got, I know he got lucky and got Cooper Flag. And I know his comment of, what was his comment after they drafted Cooper Flag? Almost taking credit like they got the number 1 pick. I don't know what the hell he was talking about. Dallas is stacked. Dallas, if they're healthy, has got a really good team. So we'll see. We'll see what happens here. But if all he cared about was winning, then he would say, and again, I'm not advocating for LeBron to take less money. LeBron is going to get $52.6 million this year, and I'll tell you right now, he's wildly underpaid for how much he actually economically has to do with not just the Lakers, but the league in general. But if all he cared about was winning, then why not go take the league minimum and go sign with the Cavs and go try to get that team over the top and go to the Eastern Conference? If that's all he cared about. He cares about winning, but he also wants his finances to look healthy. Obviously, they're going to look healthy either way. All right, let's get some more in here. Let's see what we got here. Let's go here. I don't even know what That's Facts goes to, but I'm going to take credit for that. Maybe it could have been That's Fact for somebody else's comment on here, but I'll just take credit for it. Luka is watching how you treat the aging star. Guys, the Lakers know how to treat stars. I mean, I don't know what you want me to tell you. They treat stars pretty damn well. I mean, for the most part, right? I mean, maybe they're not perfect at it, but for the love of God, Lakers in year 19 and 20 for Kobe was like, don't even worry about. I mean, you come to work whenever you want. You already gave us everything else. Here's big time money. Like, Do you think the Lakers have a stigma of not taking care of stars? I think that's one of the Lakers. If they have any strengths, it's making sure when there's a superstar, whatever you need, they're going to do that for Luka. I mean, listen, if you asked me what's a prediction for the next 3 years for the Lakers, Lakers are going to have a stacked team around Luka. They'll take care of their stars. That's the one thing that I feel like the Lakers are really, really good at is taking care of stars. And listen, some people disagree with that. It's fine. I think some people are looking at it more personally for LeBron and not looking at it as, well, what does the partnership look like? This will be their 8th year together. That the Lakers are eventually going to have to worry about the future. I mean, that's how you run a good organization. The way you run a good organization is you make sure that you're thinking about today, tomorrow, 3 months, 6 months, a year, 5 years. That's how the best companies are run. They're not just, oh my God, panic because it's today. We're trying to hit our number for the month. Like, that's not how good companies run. And frankly, I think the Lakers are way behind right now in what is a good business. And I'm not talking about just dollars and cents. Yes, they can print money because their brand is so amazing. But, one of the conversations I was having, Brad Walsh, you guys know, a big partner here, the Wallace firm on the channel, talking to him a little bit earlier today. And he's talking about from an ownership perspective. He's excited about the new ownership. There's a big difference between how the Lakers are ran than some of these other teams. And I think Mark Walter and the new ownership group, they're going to catch them up to speed. And there's also going to be finances that are going towards areas that there is no cap. You want the best scouting department in the NBA? All right, go find him and go pay him. You want the best head coach in the NBA? Cool, there's no salary cap. You want the best president of basketball operations? Awesome. Go identify that person and bring it to the Lakers. Lakers can do all that. There isn't going to be a first apron and a second apron because you went out and got the best front office executives to come, run your organization. Will it happen overnight? It's not going to happen overnight. Okay, a couple more here. We'll get to an hour and then we'll call it a day. By the way, just a quick reminder, if you're on here, maybe you're not always on the channel. Maybe this is the first time that you've been here. I really appreciate you guys hanging out. So thank you very much for doing so. I do a show every Monday through Friday starting at 8 a.m. So I'll be back on tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Get some great guests on. Trevor Lane was on this morning. I'm going to have Bobby Marks coming on Wednesday. Looking forward to that. If you can please subscribe to the channel, it would be phenomenal. We're closing in on 32,000 subscribers. It would be great to have you guys here, at least to get some of these notifications when I am live. Okay, let's get a couple more in here. 52 million off the books if LeBron gets traded. Listen, if LeBron wants to get traded, if that's when the dust settles, LeBron's like, I want out of LA. Okay, cool. What's it look like? What's the trade package look like? What are the Lakers getting back? Are they getting younger? Are they able to get some pieces that's going to help them for the future? Can both sides shake hands and say, hey, for those 7 years, that was a very successful partnership? I don't think it's going to get to that. I've said that before. I don't think that's going to happen. But hypothetically, if it did, it's kind of like, all right, well, both sides move on. Let's see what we got here. Subscribe. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. I don't know why I'm whispering, but I appreciate it. Let's see what we got here. Private equity should only own teams. These individual owners no longer have the means of know-how to run these organizations. Yeah, family-run biz, I get it. I think sometimes the problem with private equity, it could also just be dollars and cents. That's it. They don't invest enough in the team, and that's obviously not the case with Mark Walters and that Guggenheim group. That's not the case. They'll put a lot into it. All right, let me ask everybody a quick question here. Quick question. They get an Ayton? You guys actually feel pretty good that they're going to end up with DeAndre Ayton? Because I will tell you, if they don't end up with DeAndre Ayton, I don't know what plan B is. So you guys can play that one out for me if you guys think they're going to get DeAndre Ayton. I'm gonna have confidence. It's funny, when I was getting ready to do the show, I had a couple main things I want to get across. Dorian Finney-Smith, I liked as a Laker. I did not like giving him a 4-year deal. Okay. better business move for the Lakers that he moved on, because you don't want to give him a 4-year deal at age 32. He'll be 36, and it's DFS. It's not like, unfortunately, Dorian Finney-Smith didn't pan out the way I was hoping he would once they traded for D'Angelo. They got younger with Jake LaRavia, and I'm not telling you that he's going to be the answer, but it's kind of a cheap move and a younger move instead of committing and paying a lot more money. If they can get Deandre Ayton and they're able to just sign him, I do think that's a good pickup. And I do think there's enough line there to where Ayton needs the Lakers and Lakers need the Ayton, and need Ayton, and you can make a good marriage of that, even if it's only for a year, and figure it out from there. If you're able to do that, you got all these assets that you still have. And I'm not telling you they're the greatest assets in the world, but I'm telling you that somebody might be interested in Rui. Somebody might want expiring contracts. Somebody might want to give Dalton Connect a real chance. Somebody might want that first rounder from the Lakers. So I do think there's going to be some areas where the Lakers can potentially make happen. Northborough AES, I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate you, brother. Look at you coming in with a 20 spot. Thank you very much, brother. Slee, I wake up from my slumber and I see you still doing your thing. Rob is doing Rob things. No A&E has to be fired. Jake LaRavia signing is a joke. Northborough AES, thank you for your opinion. Thank you for your thoughts. How are you going to fall back asleep? How do you fall asleep this late and then wake up and then still fall asleep later? That's not going to be easy. Granted, I did have a little pick me up here before we got started. Probably not the best idea. Northborough, I really appreciate the 20 spot. Thank you very much, buddy. Okay, let's get a couple of these supers here. Who's LA's competition for A&E? The only team that I saw that I heard was Milwaukee, because they lost Brook Lopez. So maybe the Milwaukee Bucks. Now Ayton's got to make a decision wherever he goes. You have to understand, are you going to get more spotlight anywhere else than the Lakers? And look how desperate the Lakers are. It might be a perfect match in heaven, to be honest with you. If I had to guess, I don't think that buyout happens with Portland unless he understands I got an opportunity. His agent is the same agent as Luka. Maybe there's some inner workings there. We'll find out. If that doesn't happen tomorrow, then I look like an idiot. Thank you for the super, brother. Timothy Carter, we have transitioned to Luka timeline. LeBron. Yeah, by the way, the moment the Lakers on February 1st, after the Lakers beat the Knicks, and Nico Harrison and Rob Pelinka submitted a deal that the Lakers were making a trade with the Dallas Mavericks, Luka Doncic coming, AD and Max Christie going out, that was the beginning of, we got a new sheriff in town. That was the beginning. And whether Rich Paul, LeBron, maybe I don't care at all. I was reading Rich Paul that, he contacted Luka, and I think they're trying to do it the right way. I'm not 100% sure what, LeBron's goal was with some of those comments in that statement and everything else. But has it transitioned? Of course it has. Luka ain't signing. If nothing happens, Rob needs to go. I think Luka's signing. I think Luka's going to go anywhere. I think Luka's going to be a Los Angeles Laker. I think he understands the power of the brand. I think he understands how desperate the Lakers are to get back to winning. I think the Lakers, will clearly make it known that he is that they take care of their superstars, and I think he will be signing with the Lakers. Now, you got till August 2nd to figure it out, and we'll see what happens. Let's see what else we got here. LeBron is in his feelings. If we don't sign Ayton Sliwa, then what do we do? Honestly, I think after that, we just I start covering hockey. That's it. I'm going to become a Maple Leafs guy. I'm changing the channel to hockey. Everybody good with that? Everybody good with me going hockey? People don't understand my depth in hockey. All right, let's see what we got here. A couple more, and then we're done. Not winning, and they gave 3 second-round picks for DFS. Yeah, that wasn't good. That wasn't good. Not even not winning, not getting past. You won one game in the playoffs, and you gave up 3 second-round picks. And hey, I keep saying this. I was a fan of that trade. I was a fan of DFS coming to the Lakers. I really was. I was a fan of DFS coming to the Lakers, and that didn't work out. The only thing I'll say about Dorian Finney-Smith, did you want him for 4 years? I didn't want him for 4 years. I didn't want DFS for 4. I think the right number for DFS was 2 years. And even if it was the same dollar amount, you know, the 50-something divided by 4, I'm okay with that. I don't want him for 4 years. 4 years is, and I do think the Lakers have in mind what life's going to look like after LeBron. I do think they want clean books in the next year or so. I do think they approach 2026 with a, hey, let's be very strategic with how we're spending our money, because eventually that chapter of LeBron will be completely done and it will be closed. And what's life going to look like after? So I do think that they're trying to be, I think, very smart and wise with what the future looks like and what some of these contracts look like. All right, my people, I appreciate it. I'm back on in, what do we got? 10 and a half hours, something like that. Thank you for hanging out for over an hour. Phenomenal show. Really fun show. I actually really enjoyed this. I appreciate all the love. Appreciate all the comments. If you send a super, awesome. If you didn't send a super, you know, I don't know what you want me to tell you. You know, then you should unsubscribe. No, I appreciate all you guys. I appreciate everybody that's so active in the chat. And whether you watch this live or you watched it later, thank you for being here. I'll be back tomorrow morning, starting at 8 a.m. And we'll see what happens. You know, we'll see what the NBA is going to be cooking. It's going to be cooking for a while, and we'll continue to have some good conversations. Thank you, everybody. Hope you have a great rest of your day or great rest of your night. I'll see you tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Please subscribe. Thank you, everybody.